So let's go. Number one. I'm going to kind of count that. Number one. Oh, we got a user A, represent from Chicago. Chicago in the house. Hey, you know, born and raised in Chicago, just FYI. That's why I got so much swag. Sorry, had to my own horn. So yeah, so let's go ahead and talk about, so I got 10 tips on kind of what I see is coming up on the horizon. And if you have any, please let me know what trends that you see on the horizon. So number one, teachers are running the show, right? So it's great because we already knew that teachers would run the show. The customer is king. We have kind of reframed this pedagogy of no longer are we getting information and content from our principal and delivering the content with PD. Now I think the paradigm has shifted into where we are catering to the needs of teachers. And we've already known this, but we know that this trust and relationship is a secret sauce to success and supporting our teachers, right? And so we know the customer is king. And now what we have noticed is, although we're doing observations, most of our observations guide what we're seeing in the classroom, guide the whole school PD, really dictate the need of our teachers, right? And so finding that, that fun middle section to where we're not only pleasing the principal, but we're also pleasing our teachers. And we're not only pleasing our teachers, but we're collaborating with them and having a little grassroots approach to what they need. And actually now's the time, and maybe co-presenting with the teachers. Oh, love. That really builds trust, builds that relationship. So give me a TH in the chat, a thumbs up if you are really working on relationships. And I want you to actually go a step further and drop the initials of the person that you are working with to really build that relationship. I mean, really, like almost like a love relationship, right? So in a love relationship, you're looking at some of the things that you see, some of the strengths that they're great at, the areas of highlight and how extraordinary they are. And you're taking those notes. And so not only are you kind of putting emotional deposits in their bank accounts, I like to say, by reclaiming that, but you're listening intently to where you're supporting the teacher and sharing the great things about her based on what she shared with you, right? And so that takes a lot of work for us. But if you are doing that really well, that builds trust and that continues to gain trust. And like I said, it's the secret sauce to success, relationships and trust. Number one, teachers run the show, right? So if you're doing something cool with the teacher, or if you want to shout out or you want to say something, now is the time, okay? And celebrate that. All right, we're on to tip number two. Are you ready? If you're ready, because I am ready, okay? Tip number two, automation. So what we are starting to see is tech is king as well. So automation has a tremendous impact on learning. Now, that's kind of like a duh, but still, I want you to know that automation is getting bigger and better, and it will continue to impact our coaching industry. And so I want you to just implement one automation, right? And when I say automation, I'm thinking of all type of things, right? So a lot of people are saying that sometimes when you automate a tool. So some of our teachers, automation may mean, hey, an email alert goes to the students. Hey, you know, your assignment is due Thursday. This is a good time to start on it now. Hey, you got 2 hours before the assignment is due, right? Little automations, checks that teachers can use for their students. But I'm talking about for us. I'm talking about digital automation. So this means maybe asynchronous mini course that may benefit the teacher, right? Thinking of 5-minute chunks or less, right? We are competing with TikTok. So how do we create mini modules that will support the teacher? So for example, just say we're working on, I don't know, one piece of, I don't know, positive framing, right? I just threw that out there. So think about positive framing. Positive framing, we have 3 small asynchronous courses, or maybe one asynchronous course that if we have provided feedback for the teacher and Positive framing comes up, that should automatically be an automation, maybe a day or 2 days before, after your debrief, to let them know, oh, take that mini module course, right? So we're thinking small, 5 to 10 minute course. Then after the course, you should see in their class like a do now, and then just observing that. But that was one little snippet of automation. Just imagine if you had target keywords that were in your feedback sessions that automatically spoke an automation. So that automation happened. The teacher was able to watch that 5-minute synchronous, asynchronous course, and then they will see it in their class, right? That's just one little small snippet. Also thinking of tagging your teachers when they have that. So you not only know when you have prescribed, I feel like it's a medicine, right? When you have prescribed that pill of automation, right? So now that you know they've taken that course, and so now that goes under their name of courses or mini modules they've taken to understand a skill. So thinking about tagging teachers with that automation, so you know she's taken that course, she understands that skill. Also thinking about sequence. What is the sequence that you often see of new teachers, of learning? And what are the next steps? And how do we delay those next steps so people are not overwhelmed? I remember working with a school and creating just an automation for administrators to where they, okay, now is welcoming your teachers. Now here's a strategy you can use next. And they're really small chunks of content that will kind of just be like, oh, yes, I got to do that, right? And so thinking of things that we could do, from appointment scheduling, reminders, follow-up plans and sequence, right? Or even an automation of welcoming new teachers. What does that look like? Or just came to my mind, just thinking of a marketing your coaching menu. Ooh, right? So have your coaching menu on automation. More people know about it. Different time stamps for different parts of the season and different parts of the year. Man, so teachers will already have like a blueprint of the year. Automations are where it's at. All right, if you're ready to move on, if you're excited about learning like I am, if you love coaching, let me know in the chat. Keep me posted. Let me know any impacts or any automations that you have done that's been very helpful for you in the classroom or working with teachers. All right, we are moving on. Say we're moving on. We're moving on. We're moving on. Whoop, whoop, we're moving on. And like I said, if you have a comment or if you want to shout out where you're from, keep going. I'm here for you. Okay, number 3. Like I said, we have 10. So number 3, asking the experts, right? So I think our clients, which are our teachers, eventually may morph into other clients, but our clients will place their bets, maybe their money, right, on people with a unique set of experience and skills, right? And so not only that, they will want to see what is the measurable result, right? What is the result based on the parameters? And I always say this because what success looks like to me, not necessarily look the same for my teachers. And so really identifying what success looks like for them and saying, okay, it looks like, for you, it sounds like success looks like, maybe you have 100% of your students participating or 100% engaged, or maybe you are happier at the end of this month, or maybe you will fall back in love with teaching, right? So success looks totally different for other people. So identifying that goal for the teacher and making sure you work towards supporting that goal, even though you may have other goals in mind, because for our leadership, to where we support in classroom, right? And so just thinking about our measurable results and the parameters that we put in place. And then results, we are starting to see a lot of our results being based on not only our background experience, but our skill. And so keeping that in mind and always sharing some of your expertise, because you are your own propaganda mill. I can't say that enough, is that whatever you tell people, That's what they tell others about you. So just keep that in mind because you are extraordinary as a coach. Okay, so let's move on. So now we are on boom 4. Number 4. If you're with me, let me know. If you're out there, let me know. If you have any questions, thoughts, feedback, let me know. You can always reach out to me. You can email me. You can text me. You know, I'm good with texting. Please let me know. Okay. We're on number 4. Number 4 is accreditation. Now, as coaches, we already have the wherewithal to give CPUs, right? So points for accreditation, whether it be necessary. So I think what we are moving into the phase of is what does mini credentialing look like, or micro credential, micro certifications, and how do we bring that into the fold? And so thinking about training and our accreditation. And so, you know, that will kind of give you a different leverage on the market, especially if you're going from coaching teachers to coaching on an outside consultant basis, kind of like a lot of my people in my group are doing. So keep that in mind. How do you stay abreast with the new technology, the new training? And then how do you understand the rules of accreditation? That way, you know, it can kind of put you on a different map for learning. So keeping that in mind. One of the things that I really was thinking about is like creating a big coaching membership site group to where all the coaches from around the world are on one platform. So anybody that needed support, they would just come to us as a whole, as a coaching platform. But I'm still thinking of that. I'm still working on that. If you would love that, let me know. If you want to be a part of that, I think that would be great because I have read some extraordinary coaching books and I know that as a team, this can happen, right? All right, so really learning about accreditation and learning about the new ways that we are supporting teachers with, you know, their goals. And maybe accreditation is not one of them, but we know that we got to keep our positions as teachers to keep our accreditation. Okay. All right, we are moving on. We're moving on. We're moving on. We are on number 5. We are halfway done. It is 15 minutes in, halfway done. Okay, so money. Will I make money? So as a school coach, I loved it because I got the flexibility and freedom to do research, not only for research for my school, research for my teachers, and then I was able to kind of coach, although my coaching style and strategy kind of switched up through the years. And I've learned, I've grown. I may have more tools in my tool belt, but pretty much I'm the same Cassandra. But we know the market value for coaching was $955 million. That was 2015, and it continues to grow. And so they were saying, I think this is Costco. I can't remember the site. I should have put the site here. They were saying the same body estimate that coaches have an average annual income ranging from $27,000 to $73,000. So that's not bad as a coach. And really thinking about, some of us have moved away from the schools. And so now we're working towards some of those pricing points. Okay. So that was 2016. Maybe it's increased. I'm not sure. Okay. So I'm in the middle range there. So hopefully that helps and tells you a little bit more. But if you want a little more, DM me, check me out, call me, text me, whatever. I'm kind of very transparent. So just thinking also that I know one of my colleagues, she's a specialty coach, right? She's a SPED. And so she makes a little over $100,000 a year as a consultant for SPED. And I mean, she's awesome. I love all my coaches. Like I said, I love my coaches. So keeping in mind, how do you best support this next generation of teachers with coaching, the coaching model? Okay. All right. Finding what you love to do. We know that number 6, our specialties change, right? Some of our specialties, they morph into more. Some of them may be less, but pretty much, you know, our specialties is our niche. Like how do we get our audience based off of what we love and our passion? So I know, oh, excuse me. I know people like me, just figuring out my target audience is pretty much like something I love. So as you know, I love reading, right? I love teaching reading strategies, reading skills, the components, everything, all the pieces of reading I can do. I'm a firm believer I'm a firm believer of there's not one way to teach. And so there's so many strategies out there and so many creatives out there. And so just figuring out my target audience. So my target audience is principals who would like a virtual coach to support their school, right? And I keep saying this because when I opened 2 schools in the greater Indianapolis area. As much as I know I'm a phenomenal coach and I know how to dig in the nuts and bolts and support teachers with ongoing professional development, it was very hard to do both. And so even me, I needed somebody. So I wish I had a partnership like Educational Innovation 360 to support me at that point to where I can count on them for coaching the teachers. And then I can do support for coaching teachers, but not as in depth as, you know, EI 360, but it is what it is. So when we're talking about our niche, we talk about, I started out with reading. So reading was my baby. And then eventually my audience changed. I mean, my audience didn't change. Some of the skills that I took on, I learned more about, right? So now I love SEL, social emotional learning, ELL, you know, I am trained in 𝐸 strategies and stuff. Mental health is on the rise. So I'm learning so much more about that and the tech addiction. I'm learning about, you know, of course, management of time. I'm learning more about math strategies and how they can incorporate reading strategies. I'm learning more about thinking across the curriculum. And of course, the science of reading. So I love learning. And so those things come under my belt, but that's not what I started out as. So keeping that in mind of your niche and how you can best support yourself when you're working with coaches. I mean, when you're working with teachers. Okay. All right. So we're moving on. That was number 6. We're on number 7. Number 7 is really about connection and collaboration. That's so important because now we're starting to see companies appoint coaches not only for their elite leadership skills, but also for their ability to build teams across networks, right? And so thinking of how you can co-collaborate with others, and we know coaching is no longer a privilege for leaders. Now we are seeing people scale up to more people across different industries, across diverse countries, right? And so even looking at what does that look like for broadband in different cities, in different states, what does it look like coaching rural versus urban? And so really you're able to take away the place and time and be able to communicate across geographic regions, which that's what makes coaching that much more powerful and for you to sustain over time. So thinking about continuously growing, building, and just learning more things and connecting across geographic lines. So hopefully that is very helpful. Okay, and next is marketing. So we used to, as public schools, not market as much, but you are starting to see charter and private schools market that much more. But keep that in mind for you as a coach, right? So we know video content has become super extraordinary and super important. TikTok. So I had this little talk with my class. As you know, I still teach at the university. And so I had a talk with my class and said, where do you get your content? And believe it or not, what do you think the number one platform was? Nope, it wasn't Instagram, Carla. No, it wasn't Instagram. So it was TikTok, believe it or not. And I'm like, what? You're getting your stuff off TikTok? What? So thinking of that and thinking of how we are competing with TikTok and we are constantly having to put content out there on Reels and trying to do kind of what works. But the number one thing that I've known that has been really well is creating partnerships with different industries and just really thinking of what next, right? And I really think that marketing will morph in many different ways. Cisco predicts by 25 that 82% of traffic will be video. I think that's kind of like, yeah, duh. But we know it will continue to increase. So what content do you have out there? What video content? And how are you continuously marketing your skill and expertise when it comes to coaching? Okay. And we're on number 9. We're on number 9. We're almost done. 23 minutes. We're going really quick. Hey. So number 9 is what I love. I think this is what brought me into coaching, is the personal touch, right? I love the personal touch, right? The positive framing, the positive psychology, we know will play a key role in boosting morale in our clients. And our clients, of course, are teachers, but really thinking of how do we go above and beyond to support this next generation of teachers that will need us emotionally, okay? And we know over the next couple of years, we will be using different principles of psychology and a lot of mindfulness in coaching to kind of help with our teachers' positive experiences, to help our teachers just become more productive, and just thinking of how do we specialize in just building these relationships and building the personal touch and finding exactly what they need and supporting them exactly what they need at any time. Okay. And finally, last but not least, drum roll, please. Last but not least is relationships. I think all of us, coaching is about relationships. If you're not ready to make friends, you're in the wrong business, right? So just thinking of just a relationship driven is the way that you will always be in demand. People care about our teachers, people care about our coaches, but it's really about, gearing towards that authentic relationship and those meaningful conferences, right? This bond is so necessary in order to, tackle roadblocks, psychological roadblocks, or anything that will get in our teachers' way. So I hope that was helpful. I hope I was able to kind of talk to you about, just how do we get the most out of our coaching and what next is on the horizon. To my coaching team out there, to everybody, I love you. I hope you are well and keep in touch. Bye for now.